There's a new global race happening right now. But it's not for territory, not really. It's for the very building blocks of the 21st century. We're talking technological supremacy, energy independence, and control of the materials that are going to power everything. And right at the center of it all, the world's two biggest economies.
So, who's going to build that future? It's really the defining question of our time. And in this explainer, we're going to break down the competing strategic blueprints from both the United States and China. And we're going to do it by looking directly at their own official government documents to see exactly how each country plans to win.
All right, let's dive right in, starting with China's game plan. This is all laid out in the recommendations for their super ambitious 15th five-year plan. This is the roadmap that's going to guide the country from 2026 all the way to 2030. And it is very much a vision for a future that is driven from the top down.
In this quote right here, it gets right to the heart of their entire approach. China is making it absolutely crystal clear. Industrial policy isn't just part of the plan. No, it is the plan. It's the bedrock of their whole national strategy, and pretty much everything else flows from that single idea.
Now, the buzzword for this whole push is a new phrase you're probably going to hear a lot: new quality productive forces. So what on earth does that actually mean? Well, just think of it as a state-led, all-out effort to use the most cutting-edge tech to not just create brand new industries, but also to totally supercharge their existing ones. And when you look at their actual goals, what's really striking is just the sheer scale of their ambition. I mean, this isn't about just one or two key technologies. The goals are super explicit. They want to achieve complete technological self-reliance, breaking free from any foreign dependence in really critical areas like semiconductors. But it's also about a total industrial upgrade from mining all the way to manufacturing, while at the exact same time, racing to be the leader in aerospace, 6G, and even these kind of sci-fi fields like quantum tech and brain-computer interfaces. It's truly a plan for dominance across the entire board.
Okay, so that's China's playbook. Now let's pivot and look at the United States. While China is laying out this huge, comprehensive five-year plan, America's counter-strategy is coming out in something a lot more focused: the president's 2026 budget request for the Department of Energy. And as you're about to see, the focus is worlds apart. This line, right from the budget overview, it really tells you everything you need to know. The U.S. is framing its whole approach through the lens of national security, and this single, really powerful phrase, energy dominance. The goal isn't just innovation for innovation's sake, it's about using innovation as a tool for geopolitical strength.
Now this slide, wow, it shows you the priorities in a really stark way. This donut chart of the Department of Energy's budget request is pretty stunning. I mean, just look at that massive slice, over $25 billion for the National Nuclear Security Administration. That one item completely dwarfs the funding for science, for renewables, and for fossil fuels combined. It's not even close. And if you want to see where the money is moving, this bar chart just spells it out. The budget is proposing a massive 24% increase for nuclear security. So where's that money coming from? Well, from deep cuts everywhere else. A 14% cut to the Office of Science and a staggering 74% cut to energy efficiency and renewable energy. A 74% cut. That's not a trim, that is a massive strategic pivot. So you gotta ask, why this sudden, intense focus on security? Well, this single number right here explains a whole lot. The U.S. has zero, and I mean zero, domestic production for 14 critical minerals. These are materials that are essential for everything from electric cars to fighter jets. And that total reliance on other countries is seen as a huge strategic vulnerability that has to be fixed and fast. So as you can probably guess, this huge shift in U.S. priorities has kicked off a major debate inside the country. The big question is, what really is the best way to compete with China's state-led model? And there are two very different ideas about which path to take. So, on one side, you've got the administration. Their argument is basically that the country can do more with less. The idea is to make these really targeted, almost surgical investments in what they see as the most promising areas. Things like fusion, AI, next-gen nuclear, to get specific technological breakthroughs. But, and this is a really big but, on the other side, America's scientific community is sounding the alarm. Groups like the Association of American Universities are arguing that cutting that broad fundamental research, the kind of science that leads to totally unexpected discoveries, is dangerously short-sighted. They're worried it risks giving up long-term leadership to global competitors. And you don't have to guess how big this disagreement is. This table puts it in black and white. The government's budget is proposing $7.1 billion for the Office of Science. But the scientific community is saying they need $9.5 billion just to stay competitive. That $2.4 billion gap, that is the strategic debate. But in the middle of all this back and forth about funding, the U.S. is placing a massive, potentially game-changing bet on one specific area that it thinks could be its secret weapon, a way to just leapfrog the competition. And that bet is on artificial intelligence. This big bet even has a name, the Genesis mission. It's a new national initiative being led by the Department of Energy, and its goal is nothing short of using AI to fundamentally change the speed and the scale of American scientific discovery. And to pull it off, they are assembling an absolute technological dream team. This mission brings together the huge computing power of the government's 17 national labs with the cutting-edge AI from a literal who's who of tech. We're talking NVIDIA, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, you name it. This public-private partnership is the foundation of the whole strategy.
So what's the actual goal here? Well, think of it like this. They want to build this single, integrated platform where supercomputers, AI, and lab equipment can all talk to each other. The whole idea is to pair up human scientists with AI systems that can actually reason and run experiments on their own, and hopefully compress the time it takes to make a scientific discovery from years down to just months. So at the end of the day, what we're looking at are two fundamentally different blueprints for the future. On one hand, you've got China's state-led industrial plan, a top-down, centralized strategy that is aiming for total self-reliance and market dominance in dozens of different sectors. And on the other hand, you have America's security-focused AI acceleration, a more decentralized bet on a disruptive tech platform, powered by these public-private partnerships, to try and out-innovate the competition. One is this meticulously planned industrial machine. The other is a high-stakes, high-reward bet on a revolutionary technology. The question of which of these two blueprints is going to end up being more successful, well, that's not just some economic debate. It is one of the defining geopolitical stories of the 21st century.